She's still just as bitter as ever. There's such a great new spin of complaints here. Here's one from her most recent episode, which still on YouTube, she's got like 200,000 subscribers. It's really amazing that now she's been doing this for how many episodes? She's been literally on every podcast of the left wing promoting it. And that's still all she's managed to get. Here she is interviewing Dr. Sharon Malone, perhaps better known as former Attorney General Eric Holder's wife. And therein lies the problem, as these two ladies married to two very famous men are pissed that they are not the alpha in terms of popularity and
The entire Obama mythos was a cinematic production built on the back of slow-motion montages, swelling orchestral scores, and pauses so pregnant they could deliver twins. His primary role was never president. It was narrator-in-chief. Every speech was less a policy address and more an audition for a Peabody Award, designed to soothe, not to solve. The media portrayed him as a demigod descending from Mount Olympus, armed with nothing but a pen and a perfectly calibrated conscience. But behind the velvet rope of his exquisitely staged reality, real-world crises festered, ignored.
Corrective actions to achieve uncompromised aviation safety. The review will include a comprehensive assessment and reversal of any deterioration in hiring standards and aviation safety standards and protocols during the previous administration. Aviation safety was addressed by President Trump before this tragic collision even took place.
Megyn Kelly skewers the central bait and switch of the Obama years. A man who promised transformative change and then hired directly from the establishment's dusty Rolodex. His cabinet appointments looked less like a new movement and more like a reunion special for the Clinton administration's cocktail circuit. This wasn't a revolution. It was a remix. He sold the same old politics with such masterful production value, such polished cinematic gravitas, that the audience never questioned the recycled script. They were too busy humming along to the soundtrack.
What Tulsi revealed was that the intel community was about to issue that statement to President Obama saying they didn't. Like, they didn't try to hack our election infrastructure, and there's no evidence that they intended to alter the results this way. And what happened was James Comey's FBI said, we're out.
Karoline Leavitt deconstructs the faux humble Obama, the man who marketed himself as an everyman while maintaining the lifestyle of a modern monarch. He didn't just act relatable. He commodified the concept, wearing it like a bespoke luxury garment. While the middle class was being crushed by the realities of his healthcare policies, he was gracing the cover of Vogue, delivering lines on inequality with the sincerity of a celebrity fragrance ad. His "just like you" routine was a production so tightly choreographed, it made a Broadway show look like improv night.
Okay, don't make me cry now. Right at the beginning of the show.
Oh, that's sweet.
Don't let me start tearing up now.
You can take the hard stuff, but when I start talking about the sweet stuff, you're like, stop! No, I can't do it.
No, I love it. I'm enjoying it.
Okay. There ain't been 1 minute when I thought about quitting my man.
Barack Obama didn't run a presidency. He curated a national vibe, one that was cool, detached, and perpetually on brand. The core of his legacy is selling a progressive dream he had no intention of personally subscribing to. Take his post-presidential portfolio, which includes a sprawling Martha's Vineyard estate seemingly located in a climate change-exempt utopia. When Obama warns of rising sea levels, he means for the little people. His own shoreline property comes with a guest house for his hypocrisy. Yet, the media still treats him like a political oracle. They framed every calculated pause in his speeches as profound contemplation, when it was more likely a search for the perfect applause line. In their narrative, he was simply not permitted to fail. This mythology now allows him to act as the director from behind the scenes of our current political drama. From nudging preferred candidates to dropping strategically vague endorsements, he's not just a former president. He's moonlighting as the shadow producer of the Democratic Party. And whenever the establishment is threatened, he materializes, offering a knowing smirk to remind everyone who's still really in charge.
More fuel on the fire that there's a potential, maybe a divorce or some sort of rockiness going on in the Obamas' relationship. They both posted these mirrored, very choreographed Valentine's Day messages on X, but he was just seen at an LA, the basketball team, the Clippers, thank you, game without her. And then on Tuesday, he was spotted eating out at a fancy dinner in Sherman Oaks with both daughters, Malia and Sasha, but again, no Michelle, according to TMZ. So
I think they seem to be soft launching their divorce.
While publicly pretending to engage in a peaceful transfer of power, in private, former President Obama went to great and nefarious lengths to try to sow discord among the public and sabotage his successor, President Trump. The new evidence released by the Director of National Intelligence, who is here with me today, confirms that the Obama administration manufactured politicized intelligence, which was later used as the justification for baseless smears against President
Megyn Kelly and Karoline Leavitt aren't just fanning flames. They've launched a full-scale forensic audit of the Barack Obama brand. The era of media-bestowed sainthood and glossed-over memoir narratives is officially over. What they're delivering is a methodical, chapter-by-chapter takedown of the performance, from his alleged backstage influence in modern politics to his climate change sermons delivered from a waterfront mansion. Forget a gentle critique. This is a controlled demolition of a political icon, meticulously dismantling the pedestal, one uncomfortable truth at a time.
And this Judge Boasberg, is a Democrat activist. He was appointed by Barack Obama. His wife has donated more than $10,000 to Democrats, and he has consistently shown his disdain for this president and his policies, and it's unacceptable.
You're right where I wanted to go about the idea that these people are all foreign terrorists, but Judge Boasberg was originally appointed by George W. Bush and then elevated by Barack Obama. I just feel like I should clear that up.
Well, let me just say something to that effect, Garrett. 67% of all of the injunctions in this century have come against which...
Let's talk about his signature healthcare miracle. A masterclass in spending $1 trillion to erect a bureaucratic labyrinth so complex, you needed a cryptographer to navigate it. He called it accessible. Americans called it a scavenger hunt where the prize was a higher premium. The website, the program's digital front door, crashed with more spectacular failure than his initial promises, leaving citizens holding the bill for the chaos. Then, as Megyn points out, there was the administration's darker side, a government allegedly weaponized against its own people. Between the IRS targeting scandals and a surveillance state so vast it made Orwell seem naive, his presidency had a ruthless edge. But none of it tarnished the brand, a testament to what can be accomplished with a charming smile and a Harvard law degree. And as Karoline adds, the foreign policy was less a coherent strategy and more a chaotic carnival of errors, leaving a global legacy that reads like a multi-season horror series.
What I think binds it together, all these different strands, case upholding healthcare, a case declaring same-sex marriage part of our constitutional protections, of mourning. I think what pulls it all together is that no one person did any of that.
So he's sitting around on a June Thursday thinking about himself and his glory days. And to your point, Smug, I'm starting to warm up to Michelle Obama's POV. I mean, like, what is he doing?
His foreign policy was a masterclass in indecision. He redrew the red line in Syria so many times, it became a meaningless scribble. He championed leading from behind as a strategy, which turned out to be a euphemism for watching the world pass us by. Then he'd authorize a flurry of drone strikes across the Middle East with the casualness of a chef adding garnish, all while clutching a Nobel Peace Prize that seemed increasingly ironic. On race relations, an issue he was uniquely positioned to heal, he became an accelerant. He had a historic platform for unity, but often chose a tone of divisive, academic moralizing, pouring fuel on a fire he claimed to be extinguishing. And the press enabled it all, transforming from watchdogs into a loyal fan club. They applauded his every move with the enthusiasm of trained SEALs. He could have drafted policy on a cocktail napkin, and the media would have hailed it as revolutionary. He didn't just avoid accountability. He was rendered immune to it by a worshipful press that protected his image at all costs.
What people need to know is Obama's intel community was about to give Obama a presidential daily brief that totally dismissed, downplayed, poo-pooed, choose your word, the notion that Russia had meaningfully interfered in the 2016 presidential election.
Immunity. So what is it the President Trump wants regarding President Obama, given that fact? And the special counsel at the time, Durham, when that Supreme Court matter was not in effect, could have charged anyone and did not. So on those 2 points, how do you respond?
Look, the president has made it clear that he wanted these documents to be declassified. He wanted the American people to see the truth, and now he wants those who perpetuated these lies and this scandal to be held accountable.
Barack Obama didn't just change politics. He repackaged it, turning public service into a luxury good, like artisanal, bottled tap water sold at a premium. Megyn Kelly now approaches this brand with the cold precision of a diamond cutter, expertly finding the flaws in the otherwise flawless facade. Meanwhile, Karoline Leavitt brings the unapologetic force of a demolition crew to the same project. They reveal how a presidency became a self-perpetuating media franchise, a cinematic universe with endless spin-offs where the narrative remains static, but the cinematography is always breathtakingly beautiful.
On another matter, over the past few days, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has unveiled shocking new evidence that former President Barack Obama and top aides in the Obama administration conspired to subvert President Trump's 2016 election victory and undermine the democratic will of the American people.
Karoline shreds the final layer of the illusion. Obama didn't lead a political movement. He orchestrated a national mood. His talent was in emotional engineering, making feelings seem like facts and intentions feel like achievements. He sold a generation on the idea that political change was a lifestyle choice, achievable through a well-placed hashtag or a curated playlist. Beneath the polished brand, however, was a vacuum of missed opportunities and strategic misdirection. Then there was the Michelle factor, the ultimate force multiplier. Theirs wasn't a presidency. It was a co-production, turning the White House into a permanent soundstage for their budding cultural empire. Every glance, every gown, every magazine cover was a calculated scene. And now, they live off the royalties of that empire, while the country is left to sort through the wreckage, like unboxing an Amazon delivery filled with shattered promises. As Karoline concludes, Obama is no longer a political figure. He's a luxury lifestyle product, a premium subscription service to progressive nostalgia, renewed out of habit, not hope.
You all recall, just flashback to 2016 and the years after, the entire Trump 1 presidency was embroiled in this scandal that was perpetuated by the Democrat Party. And you had major Democrat Party officials in this city, namely Adam Schiff, Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Warren, who went on television and told the American people, Donald Trump is an asset of Russia. It was a lie. They always knew it. Hillary Clinton herself said that President Trump would be a puppet for Putin. Senator Tim Kaine at the time called President Trump Vladimir Putin's defense lawyer. Adam Schiff stated, and one of the worst things a lawmaker can do is to tell the American people, I know something you don't know, it's just classified and I can't tell you. And that's what he said. I can tell you that the case...
Megyn Kelly delivers the closing argument. Obama's true legacy isn't hope or change. It's the perfection of influence without accountability. He mastered the art of perception management, leaving behind a nation more fractured, more cynical, and more addicted to style over substance than ever before. His crowning achievement wasn't a policy. It was convincing a country that the feeling of being governed was more important than the act of governing itself. And so, The public continues to worship the brand. They share his quotes and stream his content, searching for answers in his playlists as if he's a modern-day oracle. But as Kelly notes, when you pull back the curtain on this Oz, the emperor isn't just naked. He's not even there. This performance isn't over. He transformed the post-presidency into a global luxury tour, turning photo ops into a lifestyle brand. One day, he's kiteboarding off a private island. The next, he's lecturing factory towns on the virtues of sacrifice.
Set the expectations.
One more, if I may.
Sure.
Given what the DNI just said and laid out, does President Trump believe that President Obama should go to jail for something?
Look, the president believes that this matter needs to be thoroughly investigated, and anyone convicted of crimes should be held accountable in this country.
As Karoline highlights, the post-presidency has been a masterclass in monetization so aggressive, it makes reality TV stars look like humble artisans. He didn't just leave office. He launched Obama Inc. Nosh, a lifestyle brand with a portfolio of book deals, documentary series, and speaking fees that could float a small economy. He then lectures the masses on equity from estates, with their own zip codes, and preaches about climate change between private jet flights. Then came his spectral return to politics. He haunts the current political scene like the ghost of campaigns past, wielding his influence with a serene, smug detachment. He carries himself as the only adult in the room, a room that just so happens to be on fire, conveniently forgetting his role in striking the match. His fingerprints are on every major decision, yet his public persona remains pristine, a Teflon ghost in the machine. And still, audiences pay for the experience, hoping for a dose of that old magic, but leaving with little more than a tote bag and a head full of beautifully empty rhetoric. His events aren't rallies. They are poetry slams with a pre-recorded applause track.
And on Tuesday, he was spotted eating out at a fancy dinner in Sherman Oaks with his both daughters, Malia and Sasha, but again, no Michelle, according to TMZ. So,
I think they seem to be soft launching their divorce. I mean, if it were the opposite and all of these rumors are flying, wouldn't they make a concerted effort to be seen together? Or just absolutely issue a statement and saying there's no truth to these rumors?
Ready for another carefully composed Instagram caption that says everything and nothing at all? Welcome to Obama's global legacy tour. While other ex-presidents retire to paint, Obama embarked on a world tour of condescending TED Talks, where the theme is always how citizens are failing to live up to the ideals he had 8 years to implement. As they say, irony is his only form of exercise. And yet, the public still lines up for his pronouncements like it's a supreme brand drop, desperate for a dose of his manufactured wisdom. Meanwhile, commentators like Karoline and Megyn watch this spectacle unfold like a painfully unfunny sitcom that inexplicably gets renewed, season after season. They see him for what he is, the political equivalent of auto-tune. The final product sounds impossibly smooth and perfect, until you strip away the digital correction and all you're left with are the flat, dissonant notes of missed opportunities, broken promises, and one long, empty performance. This show isn't over, which means the roast is just getting started.